a video about the SPLC stands for Southern Poverty Law Center. That's what it stands for. Now, they got their start back during the 50s and 60s when they were fighting legitimate hate groups who were hanging black people, killing them. They got their start by taking them to court, those hate groups, the Ku Klux Klan, the Aryan Nations, so forth and so on, and they took them to court and won many victories. But all that has changed in recent times. This video is going to show you.
There's something brewing. It has been subtle, but now we are seeing it.
Law Center, which is a totally irresponsible left-wing organization that
What every American that's halfway sensible wants is a civil society where freedom is protected.
The consequence of not speaking truth is that we're giving evil and we're giving the lie a chance to germinate and spread itself.
The whole purpose, very clearly, Americans need to see this, is to silence debate and discussion. There is nothing more un-American than that.
Most people have not kept up with the fact that they have transitioned from fighting hate groups to being an ideological arm of the radical left.
They only look at organizations that they disagree with ideologically, and they lump them in with these violent organizations that are actually engaged in violence that include the KKK, neo-Nazis.
So what I want y'all to see, that all these people that are speaking have been put on their hate group. All these groups, all these Edomites, the black woman, the black man, their organizations are all on the SPLC's hate group, okay? And they're saying that if you disagree with the SPLC or anything, you become listed on their hate watch list. That's what they do. If you so much as disagree with them. Play on.
It is perhaps the most serious threat we have in the nation for the ability for people to go about their business peaceably.
And a civil society means I may disagree with you, but I think you have the right to your opinion.
You know, it's actually evil, really evil, to call someone or a group a hate group without even knowing them, without having any real understanding of who they are or what they're about.
In America, you can agree and you can disagree. It doesn't mean you hate. We don't hate people. We love people. But we want
stop.
the truth.
Reverend Bill Owens, president. Coalition of African American Pastors. Hate group. Hate group. The second you say you don't, for example, you say, I don't accept same-sex marriage. Hate group. You say, I'm against radical Islam terrorism. Hate group. I'm against feminists. Hate group. That's what they've done. And this is what all the complaints are. And there's major lawsuits now from all these groups against the SPLC.
It doesn't mean you hate. We don't hate people. We love people, but we want the truth to be told.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is politically driven, agenda driven, and they're far left. And so they define hate from that prism.
I mean, here's the bad thing. If the Southern Poverty Law Center continues this approach, it minimizes true hate. Now the Southern Poverty Law Center has lost all credibility.
The Southern Poverty Law Center, which is focused on neither the South nor poverty nor the law, weirdly enough, aspires to be America's supreme arbiter of what is and what is not a hate group.
When you take a look at the history of the Southern Poverty Law Center, it's apparent that there were some noble things that took place years ago.
Now, I'm going to sum this up in a moment right now. The Southern Poverty Law Center, they want their opinion to be the court of law. My opinion for them, they'll say, you're a hate group. And they want society to see them as law. Now, you might say, that's not messed up. But a lot of black people who was against Bill Cosby, they condemned him in a court of opinion. I'm going to say it again. They condemned him on TV through opinion. With no verification, no proof, no nothing. 90-year-old man, based on opinion. The society's changing. Where somebody just accuses you of something, you're finished.
Originally they were founded to fight the KKK and the neo-Nazis and groups that most Americans, find abhorrent.
But that's not what they're about at all. They're a fundraising organization.
It has nothing to do with poverty except to try to make organizations that it doesn't like poor. And it has nothing to do with the law because they try to be a law unto themselves.
They've got hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the reason that the word poverty is sort of deceptive.
$328 million in net assets, $50 million plus a year.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is a money-making operation. They have millions of dollars that they're not spending to advance the causes they say they support.
The fact that one of the leading philanthropic organizations gives them an F because of the large amount of money that they raise and then they stash offshore.
Why in the world would a nonprofit organization hide money in offshore accounts where you can't trace how they're using it?
Actually follow hate. And let me go through a little bit of who these groups are according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
The Southern Poverty Law Center is really the ultimate nightmare in that they have the money, they have the media, and they have a hate label that they can slap on virtually anyone or any organization they disagree with.
The media just parrot this information without any critical analysis. They never pick up the phone or send an email to ask the organization they're writing about if it's true.
When it's repeated by the mainstream media, it's given credibility. And when it's given credibility, that could lead to real danger.
When you have an organization that's putting out literature or labeling people in a way that creates emotions among other people that follow them, it puts them at risk.
We saw it here at the Family Research Council just a little over 5 years ago when we had a gunman who came in with 100 rounds of ammunition and 15 Chick-fil-A sandwiches intending to kill as many people as he could. He testified to the FBI when he was interrogated that he did so based upon the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map, which had listed the Family Research Council.
That was a few years ago, that guy that went in and shot up Chick-fil-A. And that's the intent, to stir people up against who they say is a hate group to cause anarchy in the country. So don't think the SPLC is a legitimate group now. It's not. And this is what we're showing. They even got Billy Graham's son on there. Ben Carson, they call, he's part of a hate group. You know how timid that dude is? Go ahead, play that.
There are dangerous hate groups in America. Who will warn us about them? The media have an answer.
The Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center.
The Southern Poverty Law Center, based in that building in Alabama, calls itself the premier group monitoring hate groups. Looking at their map of such groups, you'd think America was consumed by hate. I once believed in the center's mission. Well-meaning people still do. Apple just gave them $1 million. But what donors don't know is that today the center smears people who don't deserve to be smeared.
The presence of radical Islam.
This woman grew up in Somalia, suffered female genital mutilation. So now she speaks out against radical Islam.
Y'all know what female genital mutilation is? Who doesn't know? Okay, that's when they cut the woman's clitoris off. You know that small piece in the vagina above? They cut it off. So they do that in Somalia. They practice that. So when she came over to the country, Europe and America, she started speaking against Islam. They put her on a hate group. Go ahead.
Multiculturalism failed these communities.
This man was once an Islamic extremist, but then he decided radical Islam was wrong, and now he criticizes the radicals. The center labels him an anti-Muslim extremist, too.
Join the fight against hate and bigotry.
Visit splcenter.org.
I do think that we have a problem with hate in this country.
Y'all see these two guys, Richard Cohen, Morris Dees? That's Amalek, so-called Jewish people. They're the president and the founder, chief trial attorney. They are wicked as hell, these two guys.
10 of these major hate groups out of business.
The center's leaders, Richard Cohen and Morris Dees, would not talk to me. So commentator Nomiki Kant stepped up to defend them.
They have a long history of fighting against extremists like the KKK.
History, yes, but they labeled skeptical Muslims like Ayaan Hirsi Ali as haters.
If you have a horrible experience with religion, that's one thing. It's another thing to use those experiences as ammunition against others who are practicing their religion peacefully.
But they're just speaking, criticizing it.
Of course she has the right to free speech, as does the Southern Poverty Law Center has a right to push back.
We can stand together against hate.
The center also calls the Family Research Council a hate group.
The definition of a marriage is what it's been for 5,000 years. It's the union of a man and a woman.
I often disagree with the council myself, but do they belong on this hate map?
When they don't agree with you politically, they're going to list you as a hater.
You are haters. You hate gays.
No, I don't hate gay people, and I know gay people, and I have worked with gay people.
But once you're labeled a hate group, you become a target.
Developing now, word of a shooting at the Family Research Council there in Washington.
One man was so enraged by what the center said about the Family Research Council, he went to their headquarters to kill people.
A man shot a security guard in the arm.
Fortunately, that guard stopped the man before he could shoot anyone else.
See, some of you sisters, mainly sisters, and a few little feminine brothers who don't like security in the IUIC schools, you don't realize they got all our schools listed as a hate group. Somebody can come in just what they're showing you and bust caps and kill you and your children. Women, see, that's why I don't listen to when sisters talk. Oh, well, you gotta have security. Shut up! We're trying to save your black behind. They're trying to stir people up against us. They got every IUIC branch listed, address, phone number. Why? So somebody will bust in and do something. So this is for our protection. Go ahead.
He told the judge that he was there to kill as many of us as possible because we were a hate group.
The council's offices were attacked by a guy with a gun. Mm-hmm. I mean, they don't deserve this.
There's always extremists out there, and it's unfortunately the world that we live in, and hopefully people can kind of separate that.
The center also smears the Ruth Institute, a Christian group that believes gays should not have an equal right to adopt children. They're not haters.
I like gay people. I have no problem with gay people. That's not the issue. The issue is, what are we doing with kids and the definition of who counts as a parent?
What if a gay couple had a civil union and adopted kids?
There could be cases where the best person for a particular child would be their Uncle Harry and his boyfriend. That could be. But we owe it to the children to give them the best we can, which generally is a married mother and father.
So you're a hater. When the center put her on its hate map, the Ruth Institute's bank sent her this letter.
We've determined that you're an organization that promotes hate, violence, harassment, and so therefore we're not doing business.
We're setting up a system, as do you know what I'm talking about? The data system that we're trying to set up with all what we asked everybody to sign up for, so you could, when you come and you just put your number in. Y'all know what I'm talking about? We had the original one we had sent us that same letter. Says, no, you're listed as a hate group. We can't do business with you. So I know exactly what's going on with it. And that's the SPLC's agenda. Shut them down. That's what their goal is. That's why it's taking so long for us to set this thing up. As soon as we go to one bank about something, oh, no, Israel not in Christ, you're listed on the SPLC's hate group. We can't do business with you. That's what they're doing. This is the devil. Go ahead.
And we were already down.
The Ruth Institute and the Family Research Council are still on the hate list.
There's no appeal, and I sure don't know how you get off.
I suspect the center keeps its hate list long because crying hate brings in lots of money.
Morris Dees' salary is more than my entire annual budget. So yeah, whatever they're doing, it pays.
Years ago, Harper's Magazine reported that the center's the wealthiest civil rights group in America, one that spent most of its time and money on a fundraising campaign. Now, Morris Dees did once promise to stop fundraising once his endowment hit $55 million. But when he reached $55 million, he changed that to $100 million, saying that would allow them to cease costly fundraising. But when they reached $100 million, they didn't stop. Today,
they have an endowment that now is over $320 million, much of which is in offshore accounts, Caymans and places like that.
How do you know?
Oh, we look at their 990s.
And it says Cayman Islands?
Yeah.
They pay some of their people more than $400,000 a year.
Well, it's 2017. It costs a lot of money to exist
They
in this
have
world.
millions of dollars in the Cayman Islands offshore accounts. Money that cannot be tracked or none of that. There's some evil going on. And this is why we got to stand firm in these scriptures.
Give me a break. The Southern Poverty Law Center now lists people like Ben Carson, Laura Ingraham, and Jeannie Pirro as extremists. But it doesn't list Antifa, the hate group that beats up people on the right. The center's become a hate group itself. It's now a left-wing, money-grabbing slander machine.
That's what they do. Thank you so much. All praise. So, this is what we're up against. This is just one of our many enemies.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are Israelites. That's right. Take care of us. And our children too. And our children too. We have repented. We have repented. How about you? How about you? People want to know who's the king.
O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew, it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sound wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.